Hi, this is Bruce, and in today's video we're going to look at manipulating data with the statistics chart in LMA. So I have a set of log files in this workspace. These are individual measures, and you can see I've got 8 different channels that were part of it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, say, the top 3 measures. So we'll look at channels 1, 2, and 3. And if I click on a specific parameter I'm interested in looking at, I can right click on it. And we have a variety of ways to look at the data, and we've already had a chance to look at the map and the grid and the time graph in previous videos. We're going to look at statistics charts today. So you can right click and create a statistics chart, and this will be like a histogram view. You can move the legend around. Sometimes if you right click on this, you'll see a variety of options. The first is to sort by percentage. That moves the data into a left to right format. Not usually the way that is the most helpful, so I'll turn that off. This is by bucket. So down here, what this represents is any data that is greater than -100 and between 100 and -90. So these are the data that's in this particular bucket is between 90 and 100, and the data that's in this big green bucket here is between 90 and 80. And we see a couple different lines here that are in percentages. So the red line is the cumulative distribution probability. So it shows what percentage of your data is to the left of that bucket. So here's data points that are greater than -80. There's about 7% that fall within this specific bucket, but 10% are greater than that whole bucket. So that's the addition of 7 and 2.5 and 0.48. In this case, greater than 90, we have 16% in this bucket, but 26% is greater than everything to the left of it. Sometimes you'll see different views. So if you go into environment, you'll see a 3-dimensional view. I'm not a big fan of the 3D view, so I always turn that one off. There's also, if you go into the option, there's a 100 minus the CDF, and that puts a graph kind of in the opposite direction as that red line that we had. So this is what percentage is to the right of the line. So here 90% of the data is in this bucket and to the right, versus 10% is in this bucket to the left. Sometimes there's different parameters where that's an important way to look at it. So I'll tend to turn that off for me. Now the other thing is, let me drag this one up a little bit. I started with 3 measures up here on the left, and each of those 3 measures is here. And so you'll see that each of them have their own distribution or their own buckets here. And if I uncheck them, you can see I can turn them all off and then turn them on individually. So if I want to look at just the second, here's the distribution for the second, and the percentages here in the legend then match these points here. So again, I can turn on the first measure. This is now a combination. So the data that I'm looking at is a combination of the 2 measures, and the third one is there. You can right click here. Let me come down a little bit more, make this one so you can see it. Grab that up a little bit. Right click, and we can export it to an Excel file if we want to, or export the raw data to an Excel here if you want to manipulate it in a different way. There's ways you could turn things specifics off. So if you turn on just individual distributions if you want to, or you can turn them on. And then you also have the options here to show things. So if you want to view the frequency, that'll get rid of the count. If you want to get rid of the ratio, then that's to the right side of that view. If you want to turn both of them off, we can turn them off like that. So now you just have the values associated with it. I tend to like those turned on. It shows a little bit more points to it. So that's the way it goes. And you also have the option to export to, again, to like clipboard, which we've shown before. So if I hit clipboard, now if I go and open up my PowerPoint, open up a blank presentation, and let's change that to a blank. Now I can just right click and paste, and there's my graph. Sometimes if I use like a two content, let's add a new slide, two slide, right click and paste it in here. Now it just sits within each of those groupings. So it's an easier way to organize your PowerPoints out of your data from LMA. In the next video, we'll talk about setting legends and adjusting colors and things like that.